Well, I just dropped off the kids at school and picked up some new earbuds and a mouse at Staples and thought I'd test them out by recording another vlog, especially because I haven't done it in a while and some stuff has happened with the film project. Some good news. Um, the script is in a very, very good spot. Uh, one of the women who gave me some great feedback on the script that I mentioned before. I'm not going to say her name right now because I haven't told her that I'm doing this vlog, and I want to be sure I have her permission before saying her name or saying more about her. But she took the script and did a pass at it, and really, really, really made it sing. It was great. I loved everything she added. She pretty much kept the exact same film I had written, but just filled in the blanks in terms of character development and more dynamics between the characters, and really made it awesome. So then I think, now just to kind of be transparent about it, there was probably one thing that I was struggling with, and I told her right off the bat after I read it, is that the ending, there were a lot of changes that she made to the ending that I liked, but some of them, and maybe, this is, I think, says about how my vision works as a director, and one could argue maybe it's limited, maybe it isn't. I just couldn't wrap my head around how to make it work from a directing standpoint or from a producing standpoint. It was very dialogue heavy. It was good dialogue. I loved all the stuff she wrote, but for that point in the story, this ending, I want the ending to be told as visually as possible, really push the language of cinema as far as my directing ability will go, and I even told her that. And so, just so happened that the next morning I was feeling the itch. I finally came into an idea where I could split the difference between the ending I wrote and the ending she wrote, and include some of the stuff in there that I really liked, because she had some really clever ideas in there, but then kind of tone it back, have there be less dialogue, more opportunities for visual storytelling, some visual poetry, if you will. To kind of quote George Lucas when he was making episode 1, he said that, you kind of think about visual poetry, about, certain stanzas will rhyme one to the next to the other. I know a lot of people had problems with Star Wars episode 1 over the years, but I think George Lucas was onto something when he said that. So it's some opportunities to do some visual callbacks to earlier scenes in the film, which I think will help structure the film and also make the ending work even better. So then I did that draft really quick. It only took me maybe an hour or two. And I also fixed all the typos and mechanical errors that both she and I had done in our different drafts. And I sent it back to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I like it." She just had one suggestion: maybe we could have one character say this one thing. I'm like, "Yeah, love it." Um, and she's like, "Well, I think the script's in a pretty good place, don't you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." But I want to be absolutely sure. I want to see if I can get feedback from some more people, because I think the question here is, when you think your script is in a great place, that's a great feeling to have. But it's always good to see if you can still get more feedback, just to really be sure your script is 150%. Your script, especially if you're going to do an indie project and you really want to get people hooked and get them involved, if you don't know if you're going to be able to pay them or promise anything spectacular, that script has to not just be good, not just be great. It's got to have that feeling of, this has to be made. And, maybe the script is there yet, maybe it isn't. We'll see what happens when a couple other people give their feedback. But so far, people who are reading it are liking it. I think there was one person who read it and just kind of didn't really get too far. It's like, I'm gonna have to charge money before I do this, and fair enough. I totally get that. I sort of have that feeling when it comes to my involvement in a lot of projects. So I totally get where she's coming from, but unfortunately I can't do that right now. So maybe she'll get involved at some point. Maybe she won't. But the movie isn't being made quite yet, but it's already feeling very exciting, just feeling the script come together and get better and better and better while still retaining the vision I originally had. And that's a pretty good feeling to have. Curious to know what other people have experienced going through this process. And, the question may come up, well, let's say you get some feedback from some people, do you take it to heart? Do you listen to them? Do you not? Do you trust your gut? And I think that's where the big challenge comes in. You can't please everybody, but you do have to stay true to the fact that you got to trust your own instincts, and you also want the work to be the best it can be, and you also have to be realistic about what you think is possible in terms of your own production scope, especially if you've got limited budget, limited resources. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say for today. A lot of good news. Excited to see what comes next. In the meantime, I am going to quietly continue my search for actors. I'm going to possibly check out a performance at our local theater, see if there's any actors there that I might want to talk to. The audition for my colleague's feature film is happening in a few weeks, and I want to see how that goes. Let's say there are some people that are great, but he doesn't pick them for his film. Maybe I could possibly reach out to them. We'll see what happens with that. And in the meantime, best of luck with all your projects, and I wish you the best.